Hi everybody, welcome to Your Right to Know with Tony DeFazio of DeFazio and Ziden as we put the microscope on this Bill Cosby case. And Tony DeFazio has a lot of insight that we've talked about already, the strength of the prosecutor's case. And today we're talking about the strength of Bill Cosby's case, or the weakness of that case, and your insight there.
Well, you know, when they investigated this case in 2005, I think the strongest part of Bill Cosby's case was Bill Cosby. Who would have believed that Cosby would ever do anything to women? He was, you know, the Cosby Show, he was the father of all of us, he was a great leader, a great civil rights leader, all of this, and he had an impeccable reputation. So when they were looking at bringing the case and they looked and said, can we make a case against Bill Cosby? They would say, of course not, you can't bring a case. Well, fast forward 11 years and now it's the complete opposite. The worst part of the case is that it's Bill Cosby. And you've got the New York Magazine showing 50 women who've accused him of essentially doing the exact same thing that he did here back in 2004 over the course of 30 to 40 years. So right now, the biggest problem in this case is Bill Cosby, because who would believe Bill Cosby when he said that it was consensual, when he has done this, allegedly, 50 other times? That's going to be the biggest problem for him. And that becomes an issue because of the incredible amount of publicity that there has been against him. And his reputation has been utterly destroyed. None of his friends are stepping up to help him anymore. They're taking away his honorary degrees. The statues at Temple University, where he went to school in Philadelphia, are being removed. And he is a pariah everywhere. So from the standpoint of getting a fair trial and getting a jury of 12 people who are going to disregard everything that's been said about him is going to be very difficult for Bill Cosby. Now, normally in a case like this, if you have bad publicity, if there's a horrendous crime that takes place in, say, one part of the state, you can ask for a change of venue. You can say, if New York City, if they're angry about this, they're writing about this, well, you can go to Albany or Buffalo, somewhere else, where they don't have that much publicity. I mean, people don't know about the case. Can't do that here. There isn't a place in the United States that they don't know everything about Bill Cosby. They didn't know him before, and they know what people say about him. So you're going to have a difficult time getting through the jury, getting through a jury pool to get 12 people who are going to be able to say, I can be fair and impartial. I can forget about those prior allegations, which have not been proven but have been, alleged, and I can just listen to what this case is based on this case. Almost everybody has an opinion if you talk to them about Bill Cosby, unless they've been under a rock their whole life. And the problem is that you need people who are going to be reasonable. You need people who are going to listen to the case. The most difficult part of Bill Cosby cases becomes Bill Cosby, whether people are ever going to believe him, whether he can get on the witness stand now because of all these prior allegations, because of everything that can be asked about him. It's one thing if this was just about this case and there was no other allegations out there. Then you can fight and argue it about the weaknesses in this case. But when it becomes him, it becomes about him. And certainly the district attorney knows this. They didn't bring this case, they wouldn't have brought this case a year ago. And if there wasn't all this publicity about it, it's highly unlikely they ever would have brought this case, because just on the facts of this one case, it's not strong enough to hold it. But if you bring in all these other issues and all the other bad reputation that he has, you're going to get a biased jury. And that's what the prosecution is looking for. Even though they say they are not looking for it and that they will answer the questions, they really want people who are going to walk in going, this is Bill Cosby, the guy who drugs women. Because if they believe that, then going in, then when she makes this statement and she comes in and testifies, and if she testifies in a truthful manner, or what people believe, if they believe her, then they're not going to have a problem dismissing him, because he is not someone who's going to be believed. That's kind of what has really happened to him. He no longer can walk into that court as the good father, the good person, the good humanitarian. He is the man who drugs women. And that is going to be, and that would have been his greatest defense 10 years ago. Right. He could have walked on that stand and says, I did not do this. But now, him doing that is going to be difficult.
You had mentioned in a prior episode that the original DA looked at this case and said, no, we don't want to take it. And that was right after it happened, when all the information was fresh. Now, some years later, 11, 12 years later, this DA is taking it on. Do you think that part of his strength is to bring all these other women out, to get it into the news, to make people start to believe and think and have all of his degrees taken away? to kind of almost convict him before he takes the stand?
Well, he hasn't done that. In other words, other people did all that, but he is able to kind of jump on that bandwagon, I think. And he is kind of jumping in and saying, I've got all this working in my favor, and now I want to prosecute him and hit him right now. Because I think I can make the case. Maybe it wouldn't have been a winnable case 10 years ago, but it's a winnable case today. So that, I think, is what he's going to try and do. But there are some barriers about bringing in other women to make these certain types of claims. And there are some constitutional barriers and due process barriers, and I know that we're going to talk about that in the next episode.
Okay, yeah, well, so that's what you can look forward to in our final episode of this series with Bill Cosby. Is he guilty? Is he not guilty? Does the case hold water? And that's what Tony DeFazio is here to help us try and figure out. You're watching Your Right to Know. We'll see you next week.